I never thought I'd tell this story. But here I am, Jordan Wells, sitting in a Manhattan apartment I once thought I'd never afford. For years ago, in 2021, I was 26, fresh out of NYU with a master's in cybersecurity, trying to survive in a field that barely took women seriously. I landed a job at Titan Core Technologies in Brooklyn. It was safe, routine, small. But I didn't come there to play small. The CEO, Rhodess, loved the spotlight, especially when someone else did the work.
People warned me about him.
I ignored them. After hours, in a tiny office with cold coffee and no sleep, I built something in secret. A predictive cybersecurity AI. I called it Sentinel. Not reactive. Not defensive. It predicted attacks before they happened. While other systems watched code, Sentinel studied behavior.
Patterns.
Intent. The night it finally stabilized, just before 2 a.m., I cried. Not from stress. From relief. I told no one. Because in tech, silence is survival. I'd seen too many developers, especially women, lose their work to executives who rebranded it as their own. So, I protected Sentinel. My servers. My systems. No connection to company networks. Then I made one mistake. In a strategy meeting, I showed a tiny part of the framework. Just enough to start a conversation. Cameron's eyes lit up. This is what our clients need. 2 months later, a product nearly identical to Sentinel was announced at a major investor event.
My name wasn't on it.
I wasn't even invited. What Cameron didn't know was this. I had already filed the patent. 6 months earlier, I had formed my own LLC, locked the core engine, watermarked every line of code. The night of the launch, right before his demo, went live. Every screen froze. Then one message filled the room. Unauthorized use detected. Property of Wells Technologies. By the next morning, Cameron wasn't trending. I was. Every breach attempt. Every suspicious login. Every anomaly. Sentinel logged everything. Because I wasn't just building software. I was building evidence. In January 2022, Sentinel's real engine was finally complete. Not a beta. The real system. Independent experts confirmed it. It stopped 99.9% of cyber attacks before launch. The rest were neutralized in under a second. So, I did what I still believed was right. I booked a meeting with Cameron. Thursday, 9:30 a.m. I brought the full demo. Reports. Test results. Verifications. He watched in silence.
This is interesting, he said.
How long have you been working on it? Almost 2 years. On my own hardware. Off the grid.
He cut me off.
Send me the full documentation. Codebase too. I should have heard the trap. I didn't. That night, I answered every question he asked. The next morning, I couldn't log in. Access denied. Then,
HR emailed me.
In the conference room, Cameron sat beside HR and 2 security guards. A thick folder waited on the table. You violated your contract, he said, by building a competing product using company resources. I froze. I told them I had proof. He ignored me. We found your source files on a company workstation. That's when I understood. He baited me into sending clean files. Then planted them. You're terminated for cause, HR said. No severance.
Legal would contact me. He thought he'd buried me.
He was wrong. Because I still had the real logs. The real timestamps. The real backups. And this story is only just getting started. My hands went cold as Susan slid the folder across the table. This is your termination notice, she said quietly. And your non-compete. You can't work in cybersecurity for 18 months. I shook my head. That clause doesn't apply. Sentinel was built independently. I have timestamps, receipts, a full paper trail. Cameron smiled. That smug, lazy smile. I disagree, Miss Wells. And I've already proven it. You're a junior developer. Did you really think something like this could belong to you? He nodded to the guards. Escort her out. She won't need anything from her desk. It's all company property. I should have felt panic. Instead, I felt clarity. Because Cameron didn't know the final layer I had buried inside Sentinel. A self-defense protocol.
Silent.
Invisible. Triggered 30 days after any unauthorized change to its core. And Cameron could never resist touching what wasn't his. I gathered my things, said nothing, and walked out. In the lobby, I heard him on the phone. "We're announcing it next month," he laughed. "The most advanced AI defense system ever built. My team's been developing it in secret." I didn't look back. 30 days. Titan Core was throwing a massive launch in 30 days. And it wasn't going to go the way he planned. The first week wasn't hard because I lost my job. It was hard because they erased me. They announced Sentinel as a proprietary Titan Core system. Cameron gave interviews praising his internal R&D team. Through quiet contacts, I learned the truth. They had reassigned a full engineering group to optimize Sentinel. In reality, they were guessing. My apartment became my command center. 3 screens.
News.
Their exposed development traffic. And Sentinel's hidden diagnostics. I never touched the system. I didn't have to. Sentinel was sending me silent pings. They were editing the wrong modules, breaking what they didn't understand. And every change made the signal louder. This wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. What Cameron had was only a sandbox. A shadow. The real Sentinel, the one I built, was encrypted, sealed, and far beyond what they were showing the world. "They're tearing your code apart," Marcus told me on an encrypted call. "They're trying to rewrite everything. Erase you." "Let them," I said. Every edit they made triggered the failsafe. Breadcrumbs.
Logs. Proof.
3 days after I was fired, another message arrived. A compliance officer from Titan Core's legal team. "The metadata on your so-called evidence was created after your demo to Cameron. I've copied everything." Quietly. This wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. 2 weeks later, the headlines broke. Titan Core to unveil revolutionary predictive cybersecurity AI. Cameron claimed the entire system was developed in-house. I watched Sentinel evolve in real time. Each forced patch strengthened its defenses. It wasn't malfunctioning. It was adapting. "He's throwing a massive launch," Marcus warned me.
Press. Investors.
Government agencies. Of course he was. Sentinel could reshape financial systems, defense networks, and healthcare infrastructure. That was why I built ethical locks into its core. No offensive use. No weaponization. No override. Cameron never noticed. 3 weeks after my firing, Cameron finally emailed me. "Let's talk." Consulting opportunity. Ahead of the launch. I didn't reply. 3 days later, another message. 6 figures. An NDA. A quiet settlement. Still silence. Then came the third email. 7 figures. And a threat. If I refused, I'd never work in cybersecurity again. My reply was simple. "Looking forward to tomorrow's presentation." 5 days before launch.
4. 3.
Sentinel's diagnostics were calm.
Steady. Ready.
The activation was synced for 2:30 p.m. Exactly when Cameron would step on stage. What he believed was a product demo was an exposure protocol. The morning of the launch, the live stream went live. A massive venue. Polished floors. Towering LED walls. Sentinel's logo glowed behind the podium. A cheap corporate redesign of my original sketch. The room filled with executives, investors, journalists, and government observers. Cameron walked out smiling. Buzzwords. Proprietary. Game-changing. Breakthrough. He had no idea what was counting down behind him. Not to a launch. To a reckoning. And at 2:30 p.m. on the dot, Sentinel was going to tell the truth. Marcus had set up a secure multi-camera feed. One screen showed the massive conference hall. Bright lights. Towering displays. Sentinel's new logo everywhere. The second feed stayed locked on Cameron Rhodess. Perfect suit. Perfect smile. Shaking hands with investors. Laughing with military contractors. Nodding to regulators in the front row. At 2:15 p.m., he stepped to the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said smoothly, "today, Titan Core redefines the future of cybersecurity." I watched my dashboard. Sentinel's hidden protocol came online. 15 minutes. For 3 years, Cameron continued, my team and I have built something unprecedented. A system that doesn't just respond to threats, it predicts them. 10 minutes. He walked to the demo terminal. We'll now demonstrate Sentinel's adaptive defense. The simulation launched. Malware quarantined. Traffic rerouted. Systems isolated. The audience murmured in approval. Of course it worked. I built it. 5 minutes. And now, Cameron said proudly, you'll see Sentinel learn in real time. He triggered the second wave. A small alert appeared on his screen. Core integrity scan engaged. He tried to close it. Too late. At exactly 2:30 p.m., the lights dimmed. The screens flickered. Code flooded every wall. Apologies, Cameron said nervously. Minor technical issue. A calm voice filled the hall. My voice. Digitally filtered. Unmistakable. Unauthorized modifications detected. Initiating verification protocol. Cameron froze. He typed furiously. Access denied. My screen exploded with activity.
Public diagnostics.
Version histories. User IDs. And one line in bold. Original developer, Jordan Wells. The room went silent. Then the data spread across every display. Source signatures. Origin logs. Code fingerprints. Identity confirmed. Sentinel continued. Primary system developer, Jordan Wells. Cameron lunged for the microphone. This is a misunderstanding. False claim detected. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The screen split in half. On one side, my clean architecture. On the other, the mangled version Titan core had tried to rebuild. Commit histories rolled in real time. Timestamps. Metadata. My name. Then Sentinel delivered the verdict. System compromised by unauthorized modifications initiated by Cameron Rhodess. Cameron started hammering the keyboard. It didn't matter. The next files appeared. Forged development logs. Backdated timestamps. Altered source files. Settlement offers. NDA drafts. Emails he believed were deleted. One after another. Each more damaging than the last. This system was designed to protect truth and expose deception, Sentinel said. The room collapsed into chaos. Contractors stood up and walked out. Board members clustered in panic. Reporters were already broadcasting. The launch was unraveling live. This is sabotage, Cameron shouted. A disgruntled former employee. Sentinel cut him off. Security footage filled the screens. Me. Alone at my desk late at night. Debugging Sentinel. Line by line. Then access logs. Month after month of after-hours work. My credentials. My equipment. My time. And finally, a complete change log of Cameron's own edits. Every unauthorized change. Every trigger of the hidden protocol. The more he altered the system, Sentinel said calmly, the more evidence was created. The screens went black. Then one final message appeared. Sentinel AI system. Created by Jordan Wells. Patent pending. The room exploded. 2 board members rushed Cameron. SEC officials were already on their phones. My phone buzzed. Marcus. They're escorting him out.
Right now.
I stood up. Smoothed my blazer. Put on my coat. The storm had begun. It was time to step into it. 20 minutes later, I walked into the Titan Core Conference Center. The launch party was gone. In its place, crisis. Executives shouting. PR teams collapsing. Lawyers surrounding Cameron. Miss Wells. I turned. Linda Chin stood at the far end of the hall. CEO of Vidian Secure. Sharp eyes. Calm voice. I believe we should discuss Sentinel's real capabilities. We found a quiet room. For 2 hours, I showed her everything. The ethical safeguards. The adaptive learning. The non-weaponization locks. The core integrity protocols. She understood immediately. Before I left, my phone buzzed again. Marcus. Cameron was walked out past reporters. Badges shut off. That same evening, Titan Core offered me everything. Full ownership. A settlement. A 7-figure CTO role. I declined. Linda's offer was better. A new division built around Sentinel.
Complete autonomy, equity.
Creative and ethical control. 1 year later, Sentinel became the global standard in AI security. Not just protecting systems, protecting truth. Cameron is now facing multiple lawsuits and an SEC investigation. Turns out Sentinel wasn't the first thing he stole. And sometimes, late at night, in my glass-walled office overlooking Manhattan, I think about that launch. He thought he was stealing code. What he actually triggered was the world's first real truth defense system. Because sometimes security isn't about firewalls. Sometimes it's about justice. And sometimes the quiet developer in the corner isn't just writing software. She's writing accountability.